And the Lord said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him." When God created man, He made him in two halves. With the exception of those few who have been given the gift to remain single, everyone should marry. Most Bible teachers believe that when a child of God chooses a mate, it is but the result of an effort to find the other half. To choose a mate simply means to find the other half God has created for you so that the two halves may become one whole. Older brothers and sisters should instruct younger ones to seek the other half. Such searching is for the purpose of making one whole. Halves are ineffective if they remain halves. Only those who find the corresponding half are complete. However, to put two halves together at random may cause much trouble. We believe that what God has joined together no man can separate. So the young need to find the one to whom God has joined them. The marriages of young brothers and sisters greatly affect the church. If there are problems in the marriages, these will soon become church problems. So, young people must be led aright in this matter. Concerning the matter of choosing one's mate, we hope young brothers and sisters will be open and unprejudiced before God about this. Deal with the matter objectively, not subjectively. To be too subjective easily makes one's heart and head too hot to be able to see clearly or to see everything. Learn to remain calm and objective. Deliberate everything carefully before God. Do not leap into anything on the impulse of overheated emotion. A Christian can jump into marriage, but he cannot jump out of it. We Christians cannot behave like people in the world who easily marry and easily divorce. We cannot jump out. Therefore, before you jump in, consider carefully. I will mention some basic conditions for mating, going from the outward to the inward. I do so with the hope that young brothers and sisters will calmly consider them one by one before God. Natural attraction. The marriage between Jacob and Rachel was more easily concluded than that of Jacob and Leah, for the former was based on natural affection. We must not despise natural attraction. In choosing a mate, not just any brother or sister will do. To be brothers and sisters involves no question of attraction, but to be joined in matrimony involves consideration of many factors. Attraction is one of these factors. Dr. Bevan of the Christian and Missionary Alliance, a greatly used servant of the Lord, said that when the Lord makes you a brother or a sister to all the brothers and sisters, the question of attraction is not involved, but when He causes you to marry a brother or a sister, there is bound to be the matter of attraction. New believers need to know that there must be natural attraction. As a matter of fact, this hardly needs to be taught, for they know it already. When you are choosing a mate, you must love to be with the other person and enjoy his or her company. You should not merely endure the presence of the opposite one, but should find delight in being together. If you do not enjoy each other's company, you should not be married, for a basic condition is lacking. Furthermore, such delight in, or enjoyment of, the company of the other party must not be of a temporary nature, rather, it should be of long duration. You should sense that even after 30 or 50 years you will still love to be together. Health. 1. Love can overcome. It is possible that weakness of body in the other party can be overcome by great love. Indeed, sometimes a person gets married out of a great love desire to minister to the physical weakness of the opposite party. There was once a brother in England who married his sister because the latter was blind. There are many other similar instances in church history. Because the love was great, it overcame the physical weakness. 2. The ordinary situation. We must notice, however, that we cannot expect to find such great love in everyone. Generally speaking, a weak body tends to imperil the success of a marriage. If one is often sick, the other party will have to sacrifice much, and this will naturally affect the prosperity of the marriage. The one who must receive help due to physical weakness does have a greater possibility of being either selfish or overly sensitive. A selfish person can only take but not give, only receive but not spend. The person weak of body may, out of selfishness, take it for granted that he or she must be helped. As time goes on, this selfish spirit becomes so evident that the opposite party begins to feel disgusted and looks down on the weak one. Or, if the receiver is not a selfish person, he or she may become very sensitive. This too is quite a problem. As the weak one continually receives help from the husband or the wife, he or she may be overwhelmed by the thought that the opposite party has to make such a great sacrifice. This makes the days very difficult for the recipient of such grace. Now let us consider the one who serves. That one either may willingly sacrifice or may feel that it has become too much. When the flesh is weak, a person's patience may be exhausted by giving. Human patience is not without its limit. When patience runs out, family trouble begins. Sometimes, however, it is not a running out of patience but a downright unwillingness to sacrifice. Because of these things, we wish to point out that although physical health is not in itself too big a problem, it can become a difficulty in the future of the family. Although at the time of marriage it may not constitute a problem, afterward it may be another matter. For example, I know a husband who is seriously ill. His wife has to work outside in order to support the family. So she works during the day and takes care of the house at night. Such a situation can continue for a short period of time, but certainly not for too long. The wife may work for 1 or 2 months, but not forever. Such an arrangement should not be overly prolonged. I believe for a marriage to be successful, both the man and the woman should be comparatively healthy. Neither of them should be seriously ill, or else in a time of special trial the burden may become unbearable. Heredity. Marriage must be coolly considered from a long-term point of view. Therefore, the matter of heredity needs to be taken into account. One should take into consideration the health of the progenitor as well as that of the individual. 1. Effect on the next generation. Heredity is not only a matter for scientific study but is also considered in the Bible. God's law is, "For I, Jehovah thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, upon the third and upon the fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing loving kindness unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments." Many lead dissipated and lawless lives in their youth because their fathers or grandfathers before them sowed the wind. He who sows by a wind leaves wantonly. Such a person may be forgiven, saved, and receive new life. But, though qualified to be saved, he may not be fit to marry. The Lord forgives his sin and causes him to be saved, but his child may not be saved so easily. Evil seed can be transmitted to the next generation, but the new birth cannot be. It is possible to plant the seed of sin, but it is impossible to propagate regeneration. All too frequently the next generation becomes more sinful and less lawful. This causes much sorrow to the parents. Sometimes people wonder why such a spiritual person has such an awful child. Why does such a good sister have a profligate girl? It may be because the law of the body passes to the second and the third generations. What has been sown to the wind shall be reaped in the whirlwind. One reaps what he has sown. Such sowing and reaping may bring into one's own family a most difficult child, and into the church a sinner who finds it hard to repent. It creates quite a problem. 2. God's mercy. However, those who do have a hereditary problem and are already married should seek God's mercy. They should ask to be delivered from the governmental hand of God. The consequences of heredity belong under God's governmental hand too. His ordering is involved. So, we should ask that his hand pass over and that the natural consequences be averted. Family background. There is a Western proverb which says, "I marry her, not her family." This is not strictly true, for when a girl marries, her family usually comes along. 1. Family influence. A person is more or less influenced by his or her family. In considering marriage, one should pay attention to the moral standard of the other person's family. Are they of noble ideals? How strict a standard do they maintain? What is the attitude of the men toward women and vice versa? By looking into questions such as these, one may safely deduce what one's future home will be like. A boy or a girl who has been under his or her family's education for 20 years or so will unconsciously carry the old family way into the new home. This will happen even if he or she is dissatisfied with the old family. Sooner or later, the old ways will crop up. I dare not say this will happen 10 out of 10 times, but I dare say it will occur 7 or 8 out of 10 times. Although the old family ways may not appear all at once, they gradually will seep in. So young people need to know that to safeguard the success of their marriage, they should notice these things and carefully weigh them one by one. If the father of a family treated his children with excessive sternness, you may expect that the son or daughter from that family will probably not be too affectionate. But if the family is peaceful, and the parents are full of love, you will see that the children from that family are usually gentle and easily able to get along with others. A child who comes from a family in which both the father and the mother are strict will generally be introverted because for 20 years or so his feelings have not been toward his father or mother but toward himself or herself. To choose an undemonstrative husband from such a family is all right, but certainly one should not expect him to be a warm and outgoing husband. The same applies in the choice of a wife. In 7 or 8 out of 10 cases, the family's situation is reproduced in the second generation. 2. The mother. If one desires to marry a daughter, look at her mother. This saying is more or less true. By looking at the way the mother treats the father, you will know how the daughter will treat you. She has watched this for over 20 years, and this is surely what she has learned. Having seen her mother's daily way with her father for years, it would be most difficult for her not to treat you in the same way. Likewise, by looking at a father, you will know how the son will treat his wife. For example, a headstrong person may for a time exhibit great gentleness in conversation. But if he comes from a family of strong character, sooner or later he will reveal his stubbornness. If he is from a family where there is restraint and no shouting, he will usually be courteous and careful in his words and deeds. He at least knows that it is wrong to quarrel. For him to scold and fight is like asking him to climb over a high mountain. But if a person comes from a home where fighting and scolding are daily portions, the story is different. Though he or she may show great politeness today, this behavior is undependable. It is only temporarily put on. Someday all that he or she has learned at home will break forth. It will be easy for him or for her to scold and to fight. For this reason, it is well for a man to look into the woman's family background before marrying her, and likewise the woman into the man's. In perhaps 7 out of 10 cases, the children are like their parents. Do you like the family? If you do, you can more or less expect your future home to be of a similar kind. If you do not approve, you should not expect your mate to be an exception. It is not easy to be exceptional. 3. The whole family. Do remember that one's education is different from one's way. He may tell you how wrong it is to quarrel, but after a while he may be quarreling himself. It is not easy for him to change his habit. Young brothers should know that in marrying a sister, they marry her whole family. Young sisters should likewise know that in marrying a brother, they marry his whole family. You marry one person, yet in actuality you get the whole family. Age. 1. Physical. Generally speaking, women mature faster than men, but women also age faster. Women usually mature about 5 years ahead of men but age around 10 years earlier. So in marriage, so far as the physical body is concerned, it is permissible for the man to be 5, 6, or even 7 or 8 years older than the woman. 2. Mental. On the other hand, there is the mental age. It is quite possible for a person to be physically matured yet mentally a child, old in body but young in mind. One may be over 30 in physical age but have a mental age of only 20. For this reason, it is permissible for a brother whose mind matures earlier to marry a somewhat older sister whose mind is still young. The decision rests on whether you pay more attention to physical age or to mental age. As far as physical age goes, it is better for the brother to be older than the sister. But as far as mental age is concerned, it is all right for a sister to be older than the brother. This is something each one has to decide for himself or herself.